Hey there, if you are interested to learn coding, so the first topic that we are going to start with is algorithm and logic building. So let's see what is algorithm. So here you can see the picture says that algorithm is a set of steps to solve a problem. So the word problem doesn't really sound good, isn't it? Okay, but in this video, you're going to discover fun ways that will help you to boost up your logic building skills, and thus you will understand what is an algorithm. Well, the word algorithm may sound a little bit heavy, but it is the process that actually simplifies complex problems. Okay? So, see, here I have defined algorithm as it is like a set of instructions that help you do something step by step, just like a recipe for making a cake. Have you ever seen your mother making a cake? Okay, you might have seen or you might not have seen, but I'm sure that you must seen something or the other recipe, like, maybe the recipe of a noodles, or maybe making a tea, right? So whatever we are doing involves certain steps, or it involves a process that needs to be followed in order to perform a task. Now, see, here's a smiley face. You can see? Okay. Now, imagine that you have to draw a smiley face on your own. So, how are you going to do that? Don't we need to follow certain steps to draw a smiley? Just see if the steps what I have written here are correct or not. Like the first one I have said, start with a circle for the face, right? So let me just try to draw again. So a circle, okay. So that's a circle, okay, it's done. The second step says, add 2 dots for the eyes. Okay, let me add 2 dots. So that's 2 dots for the eyes. Then it says, draw a curved line under the eyes for the mouth. Okay, fine, let me do that. Okay, yes, I'm done. So it says you are done. So by following these steps, I can see that I have accomplished the mission to draw a smiley. Okay, so similarly, you can break any task that you need to perform into similar steps so that you can complete that task easily. Okay, let's move forward. Okay. So now let's understand that what is the need to use algorithm, or why do we need algorithm as it says here. Okay, so see, algorithm actually helps us to know exactly what to do in order to complete a task. It's just like following the steps in a recipe to make something yummy, just like I said before. Okay. So we can say that we use algorithms to help us solve problems and do things in a clear and organized way. Now let us understand what are the components of algorithm. So an algorithm has 3 important parts. First one is inputs. So what are inputs? Inputs are like the ingredients that we use in a recipe. For example, if you are making a sandwich, the inputs could be bread, cheese, and tomato, right? So the inputs are the objects or the things that we use to do something. Another example would be if you have to perform some calculation. Let's say your maths teacher wants you to solve some problems or some sums, okay? So maybe your maths teacher has given you some numbers that you need to add and find the result, okay? So the numbers here are the inputs. Let's say, for example, your maths teacher has given you 2 numbers to add. First one is 5 and the second one is 4. So here 5 and 4 are the inputs, okay? So these are the inputs. Now let's move to the next component. Okay, so the second component is steps. So what are steps? Steps are the instructions that you follow one after the other, like the recipe steps or the directions on a map. Like in the sandwich example, the steps could be put cheese on the bread and add tomato, right? Or maybe like for addition, we can say that when we are given with the input values which were 5 and 4, so we can say like in order to add 5 and 4, you can use your fingers to count the numbers. Like you can start with 5 being the bigger number, and then you can count 4 of your fingers like 6, 7, 8 and 9. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So if these are my fingers, so after 5, I would start counting with 6, 7, 8 and 9. So that is the step how I can perform the addition, right? So that is the step done. Now let's move to the last component, which is output. So this is what we get as a result of following the steps. So when you just added the numbers here, what was the thing that we got? It was 9, right? So yes, this is my answer. This is the result, or what we call as the output. So this is the output that we want. That is the final result that we want. Okay, like the sandwich, like when you are served with the sandwich, that is the output. So we can say that after getting the input and performing certain steps on it, the final product that we get, or the final result that we get, is the output. Like if you just move back to the example of drawing smiley, let me just go back. Okay, so if we just come back to the smiley, so after following the steps, the smiley face that we get is actually the output, right? Okay, so let's move forward to the next topic. Okay, so we can say that an algorithm helps you go from inputs to steps to an output, like a guide that helps you to solve a puzzle or create something fun. Okay, let's move to the next topic. So here's one example that will help us to understand algorithm in a better way. Okay, so let's see, you have to draw this astronaut using algorithm. Okay, so this is the image of an astronaut over here. Okay, and we will be using algorithm to draw this astronaut. So what are the steps? Let's follow. You can try drawing this astronaut with me using these steps. Okay, so the first thing that we will do is draw a circle. See, circle is drawn. Should I draw again with you? Okay, so that's a circle. Draw a square in the circle. Okay, fine. Let me draw it. It's a square inside the circle. Let me draw it bigger. Okay, so that is the circle and that is the square inside it. Although the square is not so proper, ignore it. Okay, then draw a trapezoid under the circle. Okay, fine. So it's like this. It is actually like the neck of the astronaut. Okay. After that, it says draw pants below the trapezoid. Okay, fine. We'll be drawing pants now. So it looks like this. Okay, fine. It's so easy. Then it says add arms and gloves. Okay, fine. So let me add some arms. These are the arms and that's the gloves. Okay. Then it says add boots. Okay, fine. So that's my boots. Yeah, it's done. Let's see the next step. It says decorate the background. Okay, the background can be anything. So maybe that's just the decoration. Woohoo! I think I'm done drawing the astronaut. Yes, So by following the steps, you can see how I have drawn a similar astronaut to this. So now what we will discuss is the topic, which is computational thinking. Now the word computational thinking might be a little bit complicated for a young kid like you, but it's not really complicated. Okay, so let me explain it. Like, think of computational thinking like being a super duper problem solver. So who is a problem solver? Let's say like some detective or maybe some explorer. So what happens if you have some real problems in your life going on? Then you can just go to some detective and ask them like, see, this is the problem, and that detective is going to solve it for you, right? So it's a way of thinking where you break big problems into smaller steps that are easy to solve. Right? You got it? Okay, let me put one example in front of you. Imagine that you want to build a super cool Lego castle. So first you think about what pieces you need and how they fit together. So that's like the thinking part. That's just like breaking the big problem into smaller parts. After that, you put those Lego pieces in the right order, step by step, to make your castle. Now, that's the computational part, right? So I think you got it, that what is computational thinking. Let me explain this to you once again, that computational thinking is an approach, or it is a way of thinking using which you can break real complex problems or real big problems into small parts so that those are easier to solve. Rather than solving the big problem at once, okay, we can solve the smaller parts one by one, and thus we can solve the problem. So that's what we call as computational thinking. Okay. So now it says that computational thinking helps us to think logically and come up with smart ways to solve problems. Whether you are building something, playing a game, or even making a yummy sandwich. So it's just like using your brain power to solve puzzles and have fun. So now that's all about algorithm and logic building. And finally, we are going to play some games, real cool games, or I'm going to put some exercise in front of you using which you can learn algorithm and build up your logic in a very fun way. Okay, so here are some of the games that you can ask your parents or you can ask your teachers to play with you, such as pattern play, then guess the number. After that, maze solving games, tangrams, code robo, memory games, Lego building challenges, logical storytelling, jigsaw puzzles. Okay, so that's all about this. Just keep watching and stay tuned and watch my next video to play some games with me and learn coding and build up your logic in a very fun way.